straight into the England debrief. Gary, I'm going to start with you because you've been a player, you've been a coach, you're now a pundit when it comes to England. I think the questions being asked from the sofas of England are, why does this keep happening? Why do England keep taking the lead, dropping deep? Why does it seem to be that the sum is so much less than the individual parts?
Yeah, it does feel like we've been here before. It's not a time for panic. I don't think Gareth does panic, but it's a time for him to interfere and find solutions and change something, because three things that we've seen in this first two games. We saw the first game, we let them off because they hadn't played together, first game of a tournament, but when you see it a second time, it becomes a pattern, and a pattern needs disrupting if it's a negative pattern. And in balancing the team, square pegs in round holes, then as probably a reason for that then comes that you start to drop deep as a protective measure because you feel like you're not comfortable. And then the third thing occurs, which has happened for England over the years, is we can't play out through midfield, we can't play out from the back, and we end up giving the ball away and we look like a mess. And we know how this ends. He has to change something now, I think. Yep.
England and England fans have seen this film too many times before. Let's try and get specific if we can, Roy. Trent Alexander-Arnold, has that experiment ended, and why has it not worked?
Well, what it's ended when you've been taken off in the two games, that's not a good sign. I thought it was always a huge gamble to play a player who doesn't play that week in, week out for this club. I know people say he drifts in there for Liverpool, but that's drifted into a position and starting is completely different. I've played in midfield. It's a tough position. Physically, getting your distances, and he's come up short in the two games. No, it's not all down to him.
Of course not.
You'd have to put this on probably Garrett. It's a huge gamble to throw, again, a full-back into the middle of the park. And this was against two teams. This is not against the French or the Spanish, where obviously they've got tougher tests ahead, maybe, or Germany. This is against two teams where you thought England would be fairly comfortable and have lots of possession. But it was a big ask for him, and he's not up to it.
Can I say on Trent's behalf as well, though, if you are going to bring Trent in, and we've seen his capabilities at Liverpool, what he can do when he gets on the ball in those areas. Now, if you're going to play him the way we've seen him play for Liverpool, he's going to need movement up front. There's no movement for him. There's nothing happening for him. Whether he's going to be able to turn there and do what he does, of course he's not going to do what he's done at right back, and he's going into the midfield. Like, I hear what Roy's saying about it's a different kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Discipline for him, right? The fact is he's got no movement. And then what's happening is he's getting caught on it because then he's taking too long to make
Why
his
has he
decision.
got no movement?
Because
that's what you thrive off of a striker. You've got to make the movement to be the target, haven't you?
I don't think there was enough movement from Phil Foden, who's coming inside. It was Harry Kane's coming deep. We're getting too many people. They're coming deep where we need him to stretch the play. Saka's the only one who's going that way.
But we always talk about football, again, what you do in possession. But it's really important against the better teams, what you do out of possession. And that's why he's been thrown at the deep end. He's going to be comfortable on the ball, and if you give him time, he can see a pass, of course, there's no doubt in that. But it's the other bits of his game, the distance. Even for Rice feels like he's almost babysitting him in there, and you can't do that at this level. You will be found out, and he has been.
Look, I've for 20 years, 25 years, wondered why England as a football country can't keep possession high up the pitch in the attacking half of the pitch when we're 1-0 up. We've never been able to do it, and we can't do it now. We've got the most technical players that we've ever had.
And is this the nub of really what's going wrong?
I think this is our biggest problem, is actually in possession. The ability to be able to control the game, keep the ball. I understand that it is an out-of-possession game, but actually if we're in possession and we're doing well and we're high up the pitch, we're usually in a good position to be able to defend from that position. We're all up the pitch. The best teams do it. And I honestly think that the ideas of playing out from the back and the solutions that basically teams have nowadays to play out from the back, we don't have them at international level and haven't had them for 25 years. Now, I don't think that's helped by Trent being in there probably, but I also want to mention a player that we all love at 100%. Mikel Arteta moved Declan Rice out of that position for the last 15 games of the season to bring Jorginho in and party in because he's not that good at playing there. And today it's the most nervous I've seen Declan Rice, and he's a brilliant player. And so for me,
you're saying he's better further up the pitch.
I think he's better actually moving up the pitch. To have someone
but
there,
everybody wants to be in that position moving up the pitch.
But if you think about what Kroos and Rodri and Vitinha does for Portugal, these players who get the team playing. At Manchester United, it was him and Paul Scholes. It's Jorginho for Arsenal. Every player that's really great has this type of player nowadays. We don't seem to be able to have that player. Look, Mainoo's probably the one, Wharton, that can do it. We have to resolve that problem. And I'm not just talking about Gareth in this next 4 days. I'm just talking England generally. We've never been able to get out from the back properly in moments of pressure.
Can I say with the Declan Rice and the way he plays for Arsenal, in the way that we've got progressive centre-halves, we've got inverted fullbacks, Declan then has to move forward because there's no space for him to move. So that's why, as well. I wouldn't say. Are you saying that that Mikel doesn't think he's good enough to play there?
Right,
because that's why he's pushed up the field for me.
I think when he goes to receive the ball deep with his back to play, I think he's quite basic at that. I don't think he's as good as the other players who play that position. Where I think he's brilliant is where he's marauding forward, he's running onto the game, he's up on top of the game, he's being aggressive. And if you look at his touch map for Arsenal in the last part of the season, most of his touches were in that high left channel. And I get that he's got Jorginho, he might have Zinchenko coming in or others to play in midfield, Partey. But we, for some reason, haven't got that balance in midfield. And I do believe it's a massive problem for him. We don't have the solutions.
Yeah, but you do have to adapt your game sometimes. I think the problem for England, they have a lot of brilliant attacking players, and you almost don't need Rice. I know what you're saying. That is one of his strengths.
I think you don't need Rice further up the pitch. We've got Bellingham and Foden.
Yeah, but that's where you have to adapt as a player. Your role at a club level can change at international level because obviously it's a team. You've got to adapt your style of play. And Rice, some of his play today has to improve. Again, getting on the half turn, getting up the back four. But yeah, one of his strengths is going forward. But you can't have 5-6 players getting forward because you will be cut open.
There was a moment in the first half after 40 minutes for about 2 minutes where Phil Foden went and got the ball off the back four and got us playing because he could see that we needed somebody in there to get the ball on the half turn and get us moving. That's the only time I remember in the whole game where we looked like we were half comfortable.
Let's hear from Gareth Southgate and then we'll react to what he has to say. Here he is with Gabriel Clark.
Gareth, what's your overriding feeling after that? Well, clearly not a performance that we're happy with. An important point in the end, but we know we've got to find more.
What was missing? Having taken the lead again, what was missing after that?
Well, two things. We weren't pressing well enough. Not easy to press. The last two teams, back three, quite fluid. So there's got to be a lot of adaptability from the group, and we haven't kept the ball well enough, and that caused most of our problems today. The fact that we didn't use the ball well enough, playing out, and when you keep turning the ball over, then it creates that anxiety that you saw.
Is that a physical thing today or a mental thing?
No, I think that's psychology. It's a big game, important game. You have to we have to play better with the ball. It's as simple as that.
How did Trent Alexander-Arnold do in midfield?
Look, he did some things that we were hoping for. Some of those longer passes. It's something that is new for him. We know that, and we thought these were good games to be able to see that. And at the time, we felt we needed Connor's energy to be able to go and press.
And Phil Foden so close to the winner, or putting England back in front. How did Phil do today?
Yeah, look, I think everybody had, all the attacking players had some exciting moments. We felt we needed to refresh the team for the last half an hour. I thought that was an important period of the game. We had fresh legs, players that are in form, so we wanted to see them.
Is there a sense physically this tournament is demanding maybe more of certain players, and some obviously have had issues with fitness than you'd have liked?
Well, we've known that for a little while. We knew towards the end of the league season where we were, but we've got to deal with it in the best possible way.
England top the group, of course, still unbeaten. So now in this interim period, what in particular will you work on?
Well, recover from today. It's taken a lot out of the players, again, physically and emotionally. And, clearly we've got to find more cohesion with the ball. So that's what our major focus will be on.
Thank you, Gareth.
Thanks, Gary.
Interesting when you look at who Gareth Southgate took off, Ian. He took off his captain, and he took off Foden, and he took off Saka. Three big hitters up front. What does that say about what's going through his mind? Is he feeling for a solution and combinations in a way?
Well, yeah, obviously. But what I would say on that, Mark, is when we're watching that game and seeing how that game was progressing, and like Gary rightly said, we seem to have a problem progressing the ball in the opposing half, then you have to start looking at, well, how can we stretch them? You saw Ollie Watkins come on and, he made a great chance for himself. Can we then get people on the ball who are comfortable? So, like a Cole Palmer. We got Eze on, it's still kind of wasn't working out properly for him because he's coming on into a really intense situation. But you want to get players on who are comfortable. You want to get a player on who's going to stretch them to then make space for whether it's Foden, whether it's Cole Palmer, whether it's Foden, Cole Palmer and Bellingham. You need to do that. Gareth maybe at half-time should be saying, I'm going to give these 10 more minutes. I'm going to give them 10 more minutes and then I'm going to change that and then bring some other players on. Give them a chance.
Roy, England have gone into tournaments before when Gary was playing or was coaching with Roy Hodgson, where England fans are hoping. They're hoping if a good run, it might happen. There's a different expectation because of how good the attacking players are. There's a lot of them expecting. And that's why these questions are being asked.
There's probably always demands when you're playing for England, but yeah, the expectations got up for the last few years because of the progress they made.
And it's right to have gone up, isn't it?
Of course, and that's fine. That's a nice pressure. Obviously, people think highly of you, especially the players they have, that they expect England, certainly to top this group, but to try and win the tournament. So when they're getting criticised, it's because a couple of performances, especially when they've gone a goal in front, the word coming out of the England camp the last few months is courage and bravery, but we're not really seeing it. The sign of courage for a footballer is wanting the ball when you don't want it and have options when you're getting it. And we've not seen that in these 2 games. We're seeing players getting it. And there's nothing wrong with being nervous, but you want your mates to show you. And I mean show you. You want to see their eyes when you've got to go, listen, I need to get that into you.
So they're playing safely, conservatively.
A little bit.
There's
something amiss. The groups, and obviously we're talking about the balance. People go back with Trippier and obviously Trent in midfield. There's something looks amiss. And then you're looking at your star player today, Bellingham. He's going down every time he's touched. He's waving his arm. So look, this is a big test for Garrett. It's a big test and big challenges because it looks like he's overthinking things. He's made the substitutions, which I admire, got a bit of bravery there after the Euro or whatever, making the 3 changes. But there's something amiss with this group.
What will the next few days be like? Because you know exactly what's going on at home, having played, as I said, and coached as well. You know what the atmosphere is like and what everyone is saying.
Yeah, and he's going to be put through the mill in the next few days because the reason that we're being critical is because of the standards that Gareth and this team have set and the fact we do expect them to win it. But it's the first time that I've felt that Gareth is slightly conflicted with this embarrassment of riches. The first time we're asking questions, how do you get Trent? How do you get Bellingham? How do you get Foden? How do you get Palmer into this team? And this embarrassment of riches is causing him more of a problem than giving him, if you like, the answer. And that shouldn't be the case. I think he somehow has to look really close in this next 24 hours. Maybe give the team a day. Maybe let the players have a conversation with themselves as well. Because actually, over the last few years, we've talked about their spirit, their accountability, and it being different than England teams gone by. They're not playing particularly well, some of them, so they need to sort themselves out. But from Gareth's point of view, he needs to get on that training ground in a couple of days' time and give them the answer to what they need moving forward. Because something has to change here. This ends badly, the way in which it's going.
Yeah.